First of all, how about a round of applause for the folks at Aramark and the wonderful brunch? What we'll do whenever we talk just briefly, you'll get to hear from each of the inductees, but to get a composite background on each of them, just check your program. Great bios in there, and the videos are just outstanding, something that came about just the last few years. We're so happy to have that along. And also you'll find in your program, in the back of the book, the list of our Hall of Fame members. And at this time, I'd like to have those members of the Hall of Fame of IUP, would you please stand? They laid the groundwork, and now we have more today with 13 very special people. We're going to start it off, first of all, and I'll ask the inductee to please stand, and we'll give you a little background on each of them and a question for each of them. We're going to start off as we go alphabetically, and our golfer over here is Scott Arthur. Scott's a three-time All-American, helped coach Ed Sloninger's team register top 10 finishes in the NCAA and NAIA tournaments 4 times. He was the catalyst on the 1977 team, challenged for a national championship. And Scott, the golf program, of course, has been a great tradition. It continues to this day, both on-course success and great coaches. So what role do these factors play in you deciding to attend IUP?
It's an excellent question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me? My decision to enroll at IUP came down to probably one singular event. And it was very smart recruiting on my coach's part, Dr. Ed Sloninger. He was a very humble gentleman, and he used to let his golfers do the recruiting for him. And that was very smart. My senior year at high school, I went to Moon area near the Pittsburgh airport. And one afternoon, I was summoned from class over the intercom system to report to the principal's office. And typically, that's not a good thing. But when I arrived there, I was greeted by, and you'll remember these two gentlemen, Doc, Dennis Osborne from Butler, Pennsylvania, and Bob Ravis from Latrobe. Now, these two gentlemen I knew very well. They were talented, excellent golfers in Western Pennsylvania. And when it came to amateur golf in Western Pennsylvania, they were household names. So for them to come to my high school and pull me from class and sit me down and have a nice chat, that was very flattering and a terrific recruiting technique, Coach, I must say. When they asked me if I would consider joining them at IUP, and I didn't know they were together here, I thought, where's the dotted line? Where do I sign? I was euphoric to finally have settled upon a university. But immediately thereafter, my euphoria turned to fear and concern. I thought in my mind, if he had these two gentlemen from Western Pennsylvania, these two talented golfers, what's to say that he didn't have 3 or 4 from Harrisburg, 4 or 5 from Philadelphia? I didn't even know if I could make the team. And they must have seen this in my eyes, because they calmed me down and they said, no, you'll be playing for Coach Sloninger. And he's a fair individual. He'll give you a good long look, and you'll get your opportunity to play. And you know what? They were right, Doc. You know, aside from my father, I can't think of a gentleman that's more fair, more honest, with a better character than Dr. Sloninger. He pretty much, to all of us when we golfed here, he was almost a saint. In 4 years that I spent here, I never saw that gentleman use a tobacco product. I never saw him lift an alcoholic beverage to his lips. I did see him consume a lot of ice cream. And he never uttered, that I can remember, one swear word. And some of the golf that we produced for him, he certainly had every reason to smoke, drink, and swear. But we thought of him as a saint. And in the church, to attain sainthood, it's a requirement that you prove and document 3 miracles. Well, Doc, I never thought I would be standing here today. So in my opinion, this is a miracle for me, and you had everything to do with it. So if you want to count that as your first of 3 miracles, you go right ahead. And I'll leave the other 2 to his wife, Mary Beth, and their son, Mark, and I'm sure you can come up with the other 2. Coach, thank you for everything, for 4 fabulous years. And IUP, thank you very much for this
Thank
honor.
you, Scott. Scott Arthur.
Hi, Angela.
We'll get to Joe here in just a moment. Make our presentation with President Driscoll. Next up, football, and he played some baseball too. We're talking about Joe Bellissimo. Joe, a deep threat that held the school's yards per catch mark at 18.3 for 24 years, that record. Joe helped IUP to a PSAC West title, earned all Pennsylvania second-team honors in 1964. And Joe, during your time here, football student-athlete, you played under 2 very successful coaches, had varying styles and philosophies. Tell us about your experience with those coaches.
Okay, but first of all, I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for acknowledging me and being honored here as a recipient, and also to acknowledge my fellow inductees here on the stage for their being rewarded for their skilled experience here at Indiana. But and also one other group before I answer your question, Jack, is a special group to me, my teammates that led Indiana to the first PSAC championship in a subsequent game with East Stroudsburg. So I'd like my fellow teammates that are here to stand. Come on, guys, let's go. As you can see, they're the oldest ones here. Okay. But as far as Coach Mills and Coach Clausing, 2 distinct, they coached completely different. Coach Mills was a psychologist. He worked on your psychic. He actually was quirky in many ways. I'm not sure he was a great X and O man at all. I think he did some quirky things, like I said, like one of our pregame meals was nutriment. You know, who ever thought of having nutriment as a pregame meal? He had us singing at cultural events here at Indiana, even though none of us could carry a tune. He even had us stay at a rest home, a special care facility, one evening before a game, and all I can remember how hard that bed was, and we had to get up and play a game the next day. Probably the thing that does stand out as far as Coach Mills, he took advantage of all the transfers that came in that year, and also with some players here from Indiana to lead us to an outstanding record. I think we lost, 3 games, and it was a matter within 10 points or less. And but the thing that stands out about Coach Mills is that we actually were going to play in the first Boardwalk Bowl down in Atlantic City in Convention Hall. And unfortunately, that's the day that JFK was assassinated. And as my friend El Vaquero often says, that was an age of innocence. And what that did was, we never played the game, but Coach Mills was able to keep us together as a group, and he took us from young men into manhood. And I think that's the most important thing that I think our group would remember about him. And to this day, they still honor him, Jack. They in Vegas, every few years, this group of guys joins 6 other colleges that go to Vegas to honor Coach Mills, and I guess they're going to do it again this December for his 90th birthday. So, and he still has all his faculties, very sharp. Now, as far as Coach Clausing, he led us to the championship our senior year, and he was an X and O man. He was very demanding. He was very physical. If you made a mistake, he had you on that 7-man sled till your legs were ready to fall off. And everybody thought, I can just give you one good example. Gene Epley was our right tackle. He was our tackle. I was one of the ends. And we missed a double team block, and we came out. And Coach Clausing put his arms around us, And I'm sure the people up in the stands were saying, wow, what is that nice? He's consoling them about missing the block and everything. And actually, I was about 215 and Gene was about 230, and he was grabbing our love handles and squeezing them. And we're just standing there grimacing. And but he was a great coach. He led this team, and probably the thing that I have to say about Coach Clausing in closing is that he actually led the way for my professional and family life by helping me get a job in New Jersey. I was in the Continental Football League playing some football and decided to get on with my life's work, and he got me an interview in New Jersey. And that's where I met my lovely wife, Lucy. And she obviously took care of our kids while I was being away for coaching, administrative jobs, and so forth. So thank you, IUP, for great memories, and thank you, teammates, for what you've done for me.
Thank you, Joe. All right, next up we have Owen Doherty Jr., soccer, a three-time Western Pennsylvania Intercollegiate Soccer Conference All-Star. Owen helped the IUP men's soccer squad to a 42-15-4 record during his 4 years in uniform, including a PSAC title game appearance, and that was 1982. Owen, your father, of course, Owen Sr., your brother-in-law, Al Broadbent, both have been inducted into this Hall of Fame. So can you speak your feelings you have today as you join your family members here in the hall?
I'm old school. I wrote it down. So anyway, I'm honored to be inducted into this Hall of Fame. I thank the committee for selecting me, joining my father, Owen Doherty Sr., and my brother-in-law, Al Broadbent, who was an All-American soccer player here at IUP, and an inspiration and mentor to me, is very special. As I reflect on my years at IUP, I note that it was truly a family affair. As you see, my father worked here for over 35 years as a coach and administrator. In addition to being in the Hall of Fame, the baseball field is named in his honor. My mother, Virginia, supported both me and my father and earned her master's degree from IUP. My brothers and sisters, Eddie, Ginny, Ellen, Bob, Dave, and Pat, who are here today with us, all were graduates of IUP. My brother David played with me here, and my sister Jenny was a cheerleader. Next, I must thank Coach... There's one for the cheerleaders. Next, I must thank my coach Vince Seltniks, who helped me develop as both a player and, as he would say, a fine young man. I hope to return next year for Vince's induction into this Hall of Fame. It's long overdue. I want to thank my wife, Charlene, for her support over 28 years. Now, she didn't go to IUP. She broke the mold here. She went to Shippensburg, but did serve as a volunteer coach here at IUP with the swim team back in 2004. Finally, I'll end my comments with a comment my father used to make when he would see the names of folks like the fellow inductees here today in the newspaper. He would always ask, where are the Dohertys? Well, today, with great pride, I can say I'm right here, Dad, joining you and Al in the IUP Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Thank you, Owen. Next up, we have Brian Eierman for football. Brian's the all-time leader, 8,409 yards passing, 84 passing touchdowns. Led the Indians to 36 wins, 4 postseason appearances as a starting quarterback, including the national semifinal appearance, and that was back in 1999. Of course, your resume, Brian, speaks for itself. 4-year starter, passing yards, touchdown leader, player of the year. Talk about the importance of your supporting cast in achieving those accomplishments.
I want to start by thanking the committee, the Hall of Fame committee, for my induction, and happy to be up here with the rest of the inductees. A couple quick thanks. I want to thank my family and friends for coming out today. They've supported me throughout my career. My mom and dad, I don't think they've ever missed a game. They've enjoyed every win, and unfortunately they felt every loss, but there wasn't too many of them. To my brother and sister-in-law, even though she was an Edinburgh fan, thanks for sacrificing your weekends to come up and see the games. And finally, to my beautiful and amazing wife and my son, they get to deal with me and hearing about all my, back when I was an IUP quarterback stories at home. I'm sure they get monotonous at times. But to answer the question, I think first I have to say thank you to Coach Signetti and his family for giving me the opportunity to play here. He trusted me with his team for 4 years, and we made a good run at it. We had some fun. But also Coach Hostler, Coach Felis, he took me in like a son. We spent a lot of time together on and off the field. He made it very easy for me to succeed on Saturdays. But with the guys around me, I think it started with the wide receiver core. In my eyes, I think the best of all time in IUP history. That guy down there, Carmelo, he made me look good. I didn't throw the ball to myself, that's for sure. Between him, LaRon McCoy, J.R. Thomas, Pat Liebert, Mike Howard, Dorsey. I mean, we had a bunch of guys with a lot of talent, and they can do some amazing things with the ball in their hands. Also, the passing game didn't go good unless you didn't have a running game. That's just how it is in football. And with my running backs, Amir Dew, Terrence Wilson, L.C. Parker, Tom Rebholz, those guys opened things up. And finally, I don't think any of us skill guys would have made the Indiana Gazette front page if we didn't have them big boys up front blocking for us and protecting for us. Our O-line was always good, always a stronghold of our team. So much thanks to them. B. Hunt, Gabe Lavara, Mike D'Ambrosio, Chris Williams, Mike O'Neill, on and on and on. But I couldn't be up here without all of them, and it truly is a team honor to be up here as an induction. But I want to thank IUP for 4 great years. Had a lot of fun.
Brian, thank you very much. All right, Brian just passed the mic. Another pass. This one goes to Joey Flora. Next up for football. One of the premier ball hawks in school history, 14 career interceptions. Joe earned first-team All-American honors. He was named the PSAC West Defensive Player of the Year back in 2001. And Joe, you're still coaching, I know some. Football, of course, a big part of your life and your family's life. Tell us what it means to you.
Thanks, Jack. Growing up in my family, I was surrounded by football. There's a long list of floors that played, a long tradition from my dad to my uncles, my grandfather, my brother, cousins. They all played football. Newcastle all wore the number 26, and that's why I continued to wear that up here at IUP. My dad coached when I was young, and he used to bring me up the fields and throw some pads on, let me run around, and I think that's where it all started. I fell in love with the game, at an early age, and as the years went on, it was just a sport that I loved and didn't want to see end, and so I continued my career, in high school and then up here at IUP. But as I was growing up, there was so much talk of, I started hearing the talk of the tradition of my uncles and dad and brother, and all the stories you hear about them playing. And so not only did I love the game of football, I wanted to carry that tradition on. And, I'm still coaching today, and I have a son of my own right now who's 5, and he's starting to play flag football, flag football. And so watching him play and, trying to teach him the game of football, and hopefully he'll enjoy the game like I did and carry on that tradition.
Thank you, Joe. Maybe he will play arena football.
Picture.
Get a picture here with President Driscoll. Next up, we have Bill Kane for swimming, earning a combined 9 Division II All-American honors. Bill set numerous school and conference records in the pool, and he helped the 1977 team to a 9th place finish, a national finish that was. So, Bill, with all your accomplishments here, how about your thoughts of this big day for you today?
Sure, I wrote down some notes here. Hope I can read them from this far away. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming, all IUP families and sports enthusiasts. I'd also like to thank the members of the Hall of Fame committee for being able to join the ranks of these other accomplished athletes. But most of all, I want to especially thank the coaching staffs that contributed to the athletes excelling in their particular sports. For me, it was assistant coaches Chip Christie and 2016 Hall of Fame inductee Neil Postis. But most of all, for the head swimming coach, Ralph Johnson, who was both a mentor, friend, role model through my entire college career and beyond. As for my specific question about the infamous quirks of swimming, all sports have their signature activities. Football players have their summer camp traditions, and basketball players have their suicides. Morning workouts was just kind of a wet example of what swimmers do as part of their sacrifice. Most people would agree that getting at 5:15 in the morning, getting up, and jumping into a cold pool is not a natural act. I agree. I hated it. But this is just a wet example of those sacrifices that athletes deal with on a regular basis. These sacrifices teach discipline, focus, dedication to a specific long-term goal. These activities also become a badge of honor among athletes and help build team unity and pride. Athletes constantly remind themselves and others that normal people wouldn't go through this crap. Sharing tough times builds bonds and also can be the source of some funny situations. I recall one specific pre-dawn walk from Carriage House Apartments past the tennis courts on a January snow-covered sidewalk, head down, hands in pockets, thinking of the impending splash into a cold pool. All of a sudden, I found myself staring at the sky, suspended in time and space, about 4 feet above the sidewalk. That didn't last long, as I quickly fell flat on my back with a thud. When my head cleared, my first thought was, I wonder if anyone saw me slip and fall so gracefully. I struggled to get up and then scurried off to practice in shame. I thought I had escaped total embarrassment until another team member described his walk to practice along that same snow-covered sidewalk about 5 minutes later. He described coming across a perfect snow angel on the sidewalk near the tennis courts. I had to come clean, and we had a good laugh that day. Experiences, good and bad, tie teammates together. These experiences also tie athletes to places. I have many fond memories of IUP, and I feel that those experiences played a large part in my life's accomplishments, well beyond my 6 years on campus. Because of that, I want to thank my teammates, a couple of them are here today, and coaches who shared those experiences, and also my parents and family for the support they gave me through an entire journey. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bill. Over here, Bill. We're going to switch over to the left side. Next up, we're going to go to women's basketball and Beth McDonald Stevens, a career 1,200-point scorer. Beth led IUP in scoring and rebounding in the 1998-99 season, and that helped the team to the PSAC West and East region titles and a trip to the NCAA national quarterfinals. So, Beth, you had some experiences with the team in your 4 years. When you graduated, you were ranked in the top 20 in 12 different categories, statistical categories. So tell us about your consistency over the years and your thoughts all about your career.
All right, thank you. First, the stats, I kind of was like, whoa, I didn't know what they were. I had to send the information in. But playing, I never really knew what my stats were because it was always about the team and the win. So I was pretty excited when I found that out. I truly believe that these feelings were mutual with our other teammates, and that's what made us so successful. And I think that also played a role in being the first IUP women's basketball team to make an appearance in the Sweet 16 and Elite Games. We all played well together, and we practiced and worked hard against each other to make ourselves better players. I even have a scar above my right eye as proof from taking an elbow from Megan Smith, fighting for a rebound in a pickup game after postseason, actually. But as for being ranked in the top 20, it's a real honor and a tribute to the hard work and dedication that I had for a sport that I loved. Honestly, I played hard, but it wasn't always work because I loved the game and it was fun. Of course, like you had said, not always fun with those 6 a.m. lifting and preseason workouts and our hills runs on every Friday designed by the devil himself, Coach Bo. They weren't always fun, but there was a purpose for them, and they made us stronger and able to endure when we were on the floor playing. While I looked at the statistics that I had, there was one in particular that holds an extra special place in my heart, and that is my free throw percentage and the free throws made. I guess it's actually two, but the reason that this is so special is because of my dad and how important free throws were to him and how important they became to me. Both of my parents were tremendous support to me and most likely my biggest fans. Even in college, my mom would come to games, drive 3.5 hours after work, come to my game on a Wednesday night, and then drive 3 hours back, and wake up the next morning and go back to work. So my parents are definitely my biggest fans. And with the free throws, some of the things my dad would always say are, games are won and lost on the free throw line. And another quote would be, how can you miss? It's a free shot. Nobody's guarding you. It's free. Well, Dad, I would like to say that I don't agree with you on that completely. While a free throw is an unobstructed shot, in my opinion, the word free is somewhat misleading. In fact, to make a free throw, you have to be fouled first. And it's not always just a little slap, okay, or a little tap. I remember a time when I had my pinky dislocated and it was hanging at an odd angle end. And our trainer, Frank Cherney, had to run out on the floor, hide my hand behind my back because I was slightly freaking out at the angle of my finger, pop it back into place, and the game went on. I went to the line, the ref handed me the ball, and like nothing happened, except my pinky is now 2 times its original size, and I have 2 shots to shoot. So free? I don't know. I'm not so sure. So what I did is, with my free throws, I broke down into 4 little lessons. So I broke down the step and into 4 lessons for success. The first is to block out external distractions. Whenever the referee would hand you the ball, free throw shot, you need to be able to block out the surroundings and distractions so that you can concentrate on your shot. In life, this world offers many distractions that we must either get past or avoid altogether so that we can reach our goals. External distractions aren't the only thing that you must overcome on the foul line. And that second lesson would be one that would be mental toughness and the confidence in your ability, and to not let your nerves and yourself interfere. Mental toughness is a measure of individual resilience and the confidence that can help push you to succeed. In life, there's going to be ups and downs, and you're going to have successes and you're going to have failures. But it is your mental toughness and your attitude that will determine how you manage these things. Our third lesson goes back to my dislocated pinky, and that is that on some occasions, a player can be injured while being fouled. Any pain that you feel at the moment when you step to the line needs to be pushed aside, and your focus needs to be concentrated on your shot. There are different types of pain that we can experience in life, mental, physical, but the pain that we experience doesn't last forever. We can get stronger from enduring any pain in our lives. We just need to stay focused on our task or goal and overcome that pain. Finally, to make a free throw shot, you need to have skill. Skill can be natural or it can be learned. My sister, Marie McDonald, is a state champion free throw shooter. She is a natural, and she has a finesse that cannot be taught. I, on the other hand, did not inherit this finesse, and while my sister still practiced and earned her title, I knew that I needed to practice just a little bit more and work a little bit harder if I wanted to be even a decent foul shooter. When you work hard for something, it has a greater value to us. My 1980s hero, Mary Lou Retton, said, "Working hard becomes a habit, a serious kind of fun. You get self-satisfaction from pushing yourself to the limit, knowing that all the effort is going to pay off." I'm glad that my hard work and effort has paid off, and I hope that you can take these lessons that I broke down and use them for your success. Be mentally tough, don't be distracted. Pain doesn't last and can make you stronger. And lastly, push yourself to work hard so that you can greatly value your success. I stand here today being inducted into my college sports Hall of Fame, and it's somewhat surreal. I feel truly blessed, honored, and grateful that my hard work and my having fun has earned me a spot with these other 12 inductees. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Next up, we have Frances Neve, swimming and administration. 8 highly successful years, the head of the IUP men's and women's swim and diving teams. Fran moved into the full-time administration role in the athletic department back in 1995 and served on several NCAA committees before retiring in 2012. So, Fran, your realization of switching from a coach to administration, your realization of what's happening here today.
Well, first, I'd like to congratulate my fellow inductees and also thank Dr. Driscoll and the committee for including me in this award. But as for the question I was asked, the biggest realization I had from going from a coach to an administrator is I had no idea how hard this job was going to be. I saw Frank Signetti, Herm Slezak, and Frank Condino do this when I was a coach, and it didn't look that hard. I had no idea how hard the job was. I thought if I could move 40 swimmers through airports, through hotels without destroying the place, I could be an administrator, I could do this. As my other inductee has said about the 6 a.m. practices, hey, I'm up at 6 a.m., there's no sun. We're there all day in the pool. You go back at night for recruiting. I'm going to be an administrator, and this is going to be smooth sailing. I had no idea. Also, the fact that Coach Signetti, Coach Slezak, and Coach Condino, hear the word coach, or administrators, These administrators ran our administration as coaches, and I was a coach too. I have student workers that are actually here today, Melissa and Christine, who can tell you that they thought I was the most competitive administrator they ever saw, that I had to get my NCAA reports in first, that IUP had to be the number one of this. We've got to beat everybody out for that. And I always would say to them, we have just one more thing to do or one more call. And I know my secretary, Carolyn Fisher, that's here today, she would come in early, and I was always there. And I think I took from being a coach to an administrator the same kind of mindset, that you had to work 12 hours a day just to beat everybody out, be a little bit better. And that's why I always think IUP was always a little bit better than everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Next up, football, Carmelo Ocasio, one of the most dynamic receivers in school history. Melo was a 2002 All-American, finished his career second at IUP, 165 receptions, 2,891 yards, 29, well, he just continued. He actually had 34 total touchdowns. So Carmelo, standout receiver, all the great teams, many great teams you played on in IUP history. Reflect back on your years here at IUP, your fondest memories.
Can we talk Slippery Rock?
You can say whatever you like. Yes.
Fireman, can you join me here, sir?
Put your mic up just a little bit. There you go.
So I'm going to break this down with two catches. Freshman year, me and Brian are freshmen. First big playoff game we're playing in. We're losing. He throws me a slant route. Catch a touchdown, we take it into overtime. At that point, I'm young in my career, really don't take much of it, just thinking I'm playing football. We're going to fast forward to our senior year. We're losing at Slippery Rock. Mud's coming over our ankles, we're barely running in the field, and Brian calls the play, we're losing, and he gives me this look, and I'm thinking, he never throws me the ball in this play. So I walk out, and sure enough, Brian throws the ball. And it becomes one of the biggest catches, and I was talking to Mr. Signetti earlier, probably one of the biggest catches I've ever made in my IUP career, but it just speaks of the chemistry that me and Brian built within the 4 years, from our very first catch within the playoff to finishing off with our biggest one to kind of end our career. And great memories with Slippery Rock games. And just to finish off with memories, Melo, stand up, young man. Many of you that saw us playing, Melo used to run the sidelines at 4 years old with his helmet on and everything. Jacinda, Kiara, stand up, please. I don't know how many times I heard last night, Dad, do you remember this? Dad, do you remember that? With just all the memories that came back from our RUP days. So I'm going to put it on you guys. 5 years from now, the dad memory days needs to be to my grandchildren on how you guys were present here. And that's me being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Ben. Melo, get your award over here. Next up for soccer, Aaron Falls-Subek, one of the most prolific scorers in PSAC history. Aaron was a four-time All-PSAC selection, set school and conference records during IUP's 19-win 2004 season, 29 goals, and also had 68 points. So, Aaron, you experienced a lot of success over the course of your 4 years at IUP, both individually and a team. What do you think about that today, being inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Well, I'm just very honored to be here today, and I am a good soccer player, but I'm not a good public speaker, so I wrote it down too. I believe the sustained individual success I achieved at IUP was because of two things: my confidence and my competitive upbringing. I accepted Jesus as my Savior at a young age, and I remember having this newfound sense of confidence in who I was and whose I was. I was his. And even though I didn't fully surrender my heart and life to Jesus until after college, I knew deep down in my heart that he would never leave me, even if I left him. And that confidence in who I was, because of whose I was, helped me to accomplish much in my sport. God also gave me a father and a brother who were and still are obsessed with sports. So I grew up watching my brother play soccer and basketball every season possible and wanting to be like him. And I remember having family sport competitions where my mom and brother would verse my dad and I, and sometimes they didn't end pretty. I remember watching the Steelers play football, and we were all yelling at the TV every single Sunday afternoon right after church, and then promising that we were not going to do that again next week. And I went to a private school. I had to wear skirts and dresses, and I would always wear sneakers so that I could play sports with the boys at recess. I remember one time my second grade teacher pulled me to the side and told me that I wasn't allowed to play with the boys anymore because I was being too rough. So, I also played on the boys' sports teams instead of girls until I was 14 years old. So I was always with the boys, and just needless to say, I was a competitive tomboy growing up. So I took that competitive spirit with me when I went to IUP, and because of that, I had many accomplishments. When your will to win is greater than your opponent's, you'll be in a great position for success, and that truly was the difference for me. In regards to my team's sustained success, I believe it was because of our coach and our unique players. Coach Heder was careful and successful in recruiting women with strong character who valued friendship and team success over personal statistics. When we won, we all contributed. Losses were a team problem. Blame fell on us all, never on a scapegoat. We competed against each other on a daily basis in practice, but then we would turn around and encourage each other off the field. We were very close friends, and many of us still remain close to this day. Whether it be going to each other's weddings, baby showers, baptisms, fun girls' weekends, or helping each other out in some way, we're still very close. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." And that was true on and off the field, and I believe that's what separated us from our opponents. So thanks again for this privilege, and thanks for my family for being here.
Thank you, Erin. Next up, track and field cross country, Sean Strauman. Highly decorated both as a runner and academic career during his time here at IUP. Sean claimed 7 PSAC titles, 5 All-American honors, a national title in the 800 meters, and was named an academic All-American. So Sean, one of the most accomplished IUP student athletes, both academically, athletically. Tell us about your story today.
Thank you, first of all, to everybody who made tonight possible, for whoever nominated me, the committee that approved that nomination, and for everybody doing all the hard work behind the scenes. To answer your question, there's a phrase, it takes a village. To paraphrase that a little bit, it takes a campus. So I was very fortunate to come to IUP, and I was under Coach Fry, Coach Spickler, and Coach Raymore, who are all inducted into the Hall of Fame previously. And they just set me up for success. They told me how much hard work was needed to reach my goals. I did what they told me to do, and I showed up every day. I gave everything I had. It was super easy because I had some of the most selfless and talented teammates out there. IUP also was extremely giving in the fact that when you needed help, you can go get a tutor at any point. The athletic department was very fortunate, and the Student Athletic Advisory Committee and Fran would reach out to people and bring a tutor right to you if you needed it. It also gave you opportunities to tutor if you had a sound backing in a subject and you could share your wealth of knowledge. And then also I like to talk about too, IUP was instrumental in helping me find success after IUP. They do a lot of career fairs here that really are amazing. They literally bring people in to interview you, and that's how I landed the job I have still till today. I was very fortunate to be around so many quality people, both on the track, in the classroom, and outside of it. And it just I was very fortunate that everybody here, Ed Fry's here today, but Brian Spickler and Coach Raymore, they really installed a system that I bought into and I dedicated myself to. And today with the new coaching staff that's on board, they're picking up right where Coach Fry and everybody else left off. So it's great to see. It's great to come back. It's great to see all the success stories, and I'm looking forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Next up, we have John Wingfield for diving. 4-year IUP diving career, John moved into the coaching world. He eventually was named the head coach of the U.S. Olympic diving team, and that was at the 2008 Beijing Games and the 2009 U.S. OC Developmental Coach of the Year. So, John, along with your accomplishments at IUP, your coaching experience with the Pan Am Games and the Olympics, tell us about your experience and how IUP shaped it for you.
Thanks, Jack. First, give it up. Thanks to my Lord Jesus Christ. Second, my family. Appreciate you all being here. Third, my coach, Dr. Ralph Johnson. My teammates, many of them are here, which I'm very surprised and blessed to have them here. The other people that I worked with here at the university when I was going through my graduate degree, Fran Nee, she was instrumental in inspiring me for greater things. And just a little bit about my story. Coach recruited me and he said, John, the next 4 years of your life here at IUP are going to affect the next 40 years of your working life. It took me 7 years to get out of IUP. 3 degrees, though. MIS, School of Physical Education and Health, and a master's in sports science. There's not a day that goes by, not a single day that goes by, that I don't use something from all of those degrees. The faculty and the staff in all of those areas were selected perfectly for this institution, and they taught me what I needed to know to do the things that I've been blessed to have an opportunity to do. I talked to Dr. Driscoll earlier, and I indicated, what you all do here as an administration, hiring the right people and putting them in the right places to change our lives as athletes, as student athletes, and as future professionals in the world is commendable. This small university, as I once stated to a newspaper reporter at the Olympic Games, it all goes back to IUP. We put that out there because you guys have done it, this institution has done it, but it's not, again, the institution, it's the people. So join me in a cheer for IUP, because I cheer it every day because it's helped me become what I am and what I do, and hopefully that I can inspire people as you all have inspired me to do the things that we do. IUP. 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 Get this place rumbling. Come on. IUP. IUP. Thank you so much, committee, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm honored and humbled.
Thank you, John. We got to get him over at the football game today to stay. Now coming up, we have a young lady who is this year's honorary bell ringer winner, Mary Lou Cranack, a longtime supporter of IUP athletic teams, served at the university for 31 years, mostly in the athletic department, worked closely with Herm Slezak, Frank Signetti, Frank Condino, Ruth Podbilski, and Fran Nee. Mary Lou Cranack is our bell ringer award winner for this year. Mary Lou, congratulations. and she continues to be at many of the events that we have today. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for our wonderful inductees for 2018. It's a great group. Thanks again. That IUP thing of John's really caught on, didn't it? I'm going to bring up IUP's number one fan now, both academically and athletically. I direct him as President Driscoll. He said, just call me Mike. But he's my friend, and here he is, the president of IUP, Mike Driscoll.
Thanks, Jack. This is one of my favorite events every year, and the staff try to keep me on a script, and sometimes that works, but generally not. So, from the script, congratulations to you all. It's a pleasure, it's a privilege to be up here with you. Your energy, your passion, your fond memories of this great institution mean so much to me, to all of us here who have made this our life's work. And it's really a privilege to hear about that, to hear about your successes while you were here, but also to hear about your successes as you've gone on to the, I guess it's 70 years then, of life after IUP. You've talked a little bit about it not being easy. And I want to share comments that start with that I talked to some of our current student athletes at an event a short time ago. That was an event that recognized our top performers academically. Practice, sometimes at odd hours. I once was in a group of students and I said, you know, when I come in, it's always great to see ROTC out on campus early in the morning when I'm coming in. Unfortunately, there were swimmers in the group, and I was shouted down immediately to explain who was up first. So just, sometimes you're out in really lousy weather. Practice takes up so much of your time as an athlete. You're on the road. You're away from the academic camaraderie that we know students need, especially for group projects and in labs. There are injuries and the sheer exhaustion of competition and practice. What I told our students was, I can't think of a better way to get ready for life after graduation. Challenges, multitasking, adversity, some failures, but more successes that build confidence. All of these things made you understand that winning takes work and that you can be successful, but you have to make it happen through leadership and teamwork. These qualities are the most excellent preparation for what you have faced, what they'll face down the road, whether it's in the workplace or in the community. I think it's safe to say that participating in athletics enables them and it clearly enabled you to be ready to adapt to the conditions that you faced and you will face in your lives. I think it's an advantage that we have at IUP. Our program is among the best Division II athletics programs in the country. And the notion of Division II, competitive sports for students who seek sound academic experiences, aligns perfectly with all that we hope to accomplish here at IUP and the experience we want for all of our students. It really is about the people. And you worked with some incredible people, and there are some of them, many of them here today to celebrate with you. And it's about the people who are here working today, engaging with our students, challenging our student athletes, helping them to learn, to grow, and go beyond where they were to become something better, something remarkably better. And each of you demonstrate the great success that the people of IUP have had in doing that. Yeah, you brought something to the table. Don't think I don't mean that. But you definitely were shaped by those incredible experiences you had with the incredible people here at IUP. And it is a privilege to be with you. You may have heard that IUP is in the midst of the Imagine Unlimited campaign, which will transform much of what we do at IUP, including our athletics program, like the press box, maybe, Jack. We are on track for a successful campaign, and that means more resources for facilities, for scholarships, and for enhanced programming. All of our students will benefit from this, and you know that our student athletes in the future will as well. They're more than just competitors on the field or in the pool or on the court or on the track. They are scholars and leaders in training whose goal is to win, but not just in their sport. The larger goal is to become fabulous members of a community after graduation and to become winners and leaders there. That's one of the reasons that community service is also an important component to our athletics program today. And our athletes are involved in many facets of the Indiana community. And between that and success in competition and their incredible academic achievements, they reflect well on IUP. Okay, so I'm not telling you anything you don't know already, right? You've been here, you've done this, you've shined, you've represented us well while you were here and as you've gone forward. You've lived this. So let me just finish by saying how impressed I am to hear each of your stories. This is not the first time I've been at this event. And so you're very, very special, each and every one of you, and what you have accomplished individually. But you're part of an incredibly special fraternity, a group of people who have had the IUP experience, who have excelled, and who have gone on to do even greater things than they did when they were here competing as student athletes. You should be proud to be part of that wonderful community, that family, to have the relationships with all of those that have come before, with those that have come after, with those from your team, from your cohort. And I hope that you know that all of us who have at least been able to touch part of your success, be a part of who you are today, are humbled and honored to be able to call you alumni of IUP and members of IUP's Athletics Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for all you've done and all you continue to do in the world around us. We are very, very pleased to be in your company. Congratulations.
Thanks, Mike. Closing remarks today, I'm going to turn it over to this young lady who's the Acting Director of Athletics, Samantha Traver. Sam, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jack. And for those of you that are unaware, Jack just started his 50th year of broadcasting for IUP Athletics. Can we please give Jack a round of applause for yet another accomplishment in his career? What a special day it is for IUP Athletics, the university community, and all of our honorees. The individuals in front of you are a perfect example of IUP Athletics and its rich tradition of success, and today we celebrate that. I too agree that today is one of my favorite days of the year because it reminds me of the first time I stepped on campus as a prospective student. And I can remember vividly of that day feeling just this special connection, this feeling of community. And it was at that moment that I realized that IUP was much more than just brick and mortar. IUP thrives because of the people. The people in front of you today on the stage, everybody in the audience, our students, athletes, faculty, staff, administrators, everyone. And speaking of people, it is truly an honor to be able to celebrate all of the accomplishments of the individuals in front of you as they join an elite group of student athletes, coaches, staff, and administrators into the IUP Athletic Hall of Fame. Since its inception, my apologies, the IUP Athletic Hall of Fame has 269 members to date. That works out to be less than 1% of all the qualified candidates, which that statistic alone tells you how remarkable of an accomplishment this is. I would ask for one final round of applause for the inductees in today's 2018 IUP Athletic Hall of Fame. In closing, I would like to thank President Driscoll and our Interim Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Fay, for their unwavering support of IUP athletics. I would also like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee and all their hard work and effort, and I would ask that any of the members of that committee that are in the audience today, please stand to be recognized. Last, but certainly not least, I would like to thank Deb Carmella and Carol Miller for all their hard work that goes on behind the scenes to make today's event successful. Ladies, wherever you are, please stand to be recognized as well. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to the rest of today's events.
Thank you, Sam. Well, what a day, and we're just getting started. We hope you'll enjoy your day here at IUP. The inductees will be recognized at halftime of the football game. So thank you for allowing me, again, to be a part of this great event. And as I always like to say, have a Major League Day.